Welcome to the Living the Dream podcast with Curveball. If you believe, you can achieve. Welcome to the Living the Dream with Curveball podcast, a show where I interview guests that teach, motivate, and inspire. And today's interview is definitely a story of inspiration, as I am joined by John Bramblett. John is a blind artist. He is a Presidential Service Award winner. John lost his sight in 2001, so he decided to pick up a paintbrush so he could reconnect with the visual world. John has worked with several celebrities. He is also a partner with Boeing to paint a Boeing 737 to promote the Rock in Rio concert. And alongside of John is Jackie. So thank you guys so much for joining me today.
No, thank you for having us.
Yeah. Thanks so much.
Well, John, why don't you start off by telling everybody a little bit about yourself, and Jackie, after he does so, you can do so as well.
Cool. Well, that's brilliant. Well, thanks so much, Curtis, for having us on here, by the way. This is brilliant. I'm an artist. I'm a non-visual, visual artist, which might sound a little crazy. I thought I was a little crazy when I first started, but like 20 years ago, there wasn't really the idea of being a non-visual visual artist wasn't a thing, being a blind painter. But I had art in my life, my entire life, and I had a lot of health problems growing up. And I was born with epilepsy and kidney problems, and ended up getting Lyme's disease. And art was a great way of dealing with a bad day. And there was a number of bad days, but art's also a great way to celebrate a good day. So, bad day, good day, I had art. And that was all the way up until college. And then I ended up having, with the Lyme disease and the epilepsy didn't play well together. And I started having some seizures that was causing me to lose my vision and a little bit of my hearing until all of my vision was gone. And I thought everything was over. I thought my life was over. I was so fortunate, though, that I had people in my life that believed in me, even when I didn't believe in myself. And, and that's one of the things that's so important about this art show, I think, that we're doing, is that, it's such a positive message. It's just, it's letting people know that there's stuff out there that you might not even realize. But art, for me, it saved me. And I started painting, and it was a way for me to get out of the darkness. But I started to apply different things I was learning, like the orientation and mobility, how to use a white cane. I started applying those techniques to art techniques that I've always had, on how to draw, how to make composition. And, by doing that, it really helped me deal with the depression and anger. And then I just kept painting. And so I kind of went on from there. And then I met this crazy lady that's sitting next to me, and she has the real imagination, because, I was a blind painter, and she had the imagination to think like, hey, I think I want to date a blind painter. So tell us a little bit about yourself, sweetheart.
I'm crazy. No. Well, I'm John's wife, obviously. And, it's an adventure with him, but my background is art, and we met, right out of college. I was doing some art, and I think that's why we gravitated towards each other. And you had just lost your sight, and you were painting, and I was enthralled because, I was like, wow, this guy's pretty amazing. So, and kind of funny. And but yeah, so we hit it off, and it's been an adventure ever since. Yeah, I mean, but that's pretty much, my background's in art. I used to work in journalism, and I quit that a while back and joined, the dark side with John full time. And so now we just travel, do workshops, consult. He does speaking, and it's an adventure. It's always fun.
Yeah. So, John, tell us about how art has changed for you, and how is it different from, because you had it in your life all throughout, but how has it changed from going from being sighted to now being blind? What kind of different techniques have you had to do a little different now?
Whenever I was sighted, I focus a lot on the way things looks, which kind of makes sense as visual artists, visual arts. But but it was things like I could do a person's portrait. I could draw the blueprints for a house. So I was into drawing, anything drawing. I wasn't into painting at all, but I love drawing, any kind of drawing, like charcoal or pens or pencils, anything like that. I would take every class I could on it. And if I drew a portrait of someone and it looked like them, I would think, oh, that's a good drawing. But then after losing the eyesight, and I really thought art was out of my life forever. And after about a year of learning how to travel using a cane, and I started thinking, well, good grief, if I could use a stick basically and travel across the city and not get hit by a car and knock over too many people or anything too embarrassing like that. If I can navigate a city, surely I can navigate something much smaller like a canvas if I use the same techniques and just sort of use them in a little bit of a different way. So I started using the O&M techniques and started to learn how to draw again. It was really slow. I was trying to draw things like squares where I would touch and feel them and imagine them in my mind, hold them in my mind's eye, and then try to draw other shapes. But I started to learn that although I wanted everything to look like the way it looked, if I drew a person's face, I wanted it to look like the person's face. It was even more important that it felt like that person. And it's funny because vision, when it comes to art, it's amazing, it's wonderful, but it also lacks in a lot of areas. Vision doesn't give the full story. In life, we use all of our emotions, we use our whole brain, we use so much more than just our eyes. It's like, everybody's heard the story of where like a bank gets robbed and everybody sees the bank robber and they'll run out right in front of people and the police will come and they'll interview everybody and everybody's got a different description of what the bank robber looked like. Even though they saw them with their own eyes, the mental picture they have is different. And I became fascinated with that and wondered about what true perception was like. So, being a visually impaired artist, it became really important for me to try to understand what perception was like, how is it that we actually understand the world? And the amazing thing about art is that it's just a way to connect with other people. It's a form of communication. So it's a way of you to try to understand the people around you and the things around you, and then to be able to go to a canvas and communicate that and have other people experiences it as well. And I never thought anybody would ever see a painting of mine. I just did it because I was so depressed, so angry. I needed to get out of my own head. But it's turned out to be a wonderful way to connect with people. I've connected with people all over the country, all over the world. The artwork's gone to over 120 countries. And working with my wife has been brilliant. A couple of years ago, we were named cultural ambassadors for the United States, where they'll send us to actually talk about art, where the United States will say, hey, we're gonna send you guys to represent the US and other countries and actually talk about art. And and that's something I wanted to mention because a lot of times, if somebody loses their eyesight, it doesn't feel like you can do anything. It doesn't feel like you can follow your dreams. And I thought that was really cool when the State Department said, hey, we want a non-visual visual artist to represent our visual arts for America.
Well, and I think it really drives home the fact that art is sort of a universal language, and it goes, beyond obviously language barriers, but ability barriers, all of that. So I think, it really drives home the issue, the point that, you can communicate this way and be heard.
Yeah. Yeah. What do you say?
Well, let's talk about, speaking of all the awards you got, to talk about partnering with Boeing and painting a 737 for a concert. Tell us how that came about and what that was like.
Well, a number of years ago, maybe 5, 6, 7 years ago, I'm terrible with time.
Yeah.
I was asked for World Sight Day. There was an international film team and they wanted to do something to celebrate International Film Day. So they contacted me and said, hey, John, can you paint a mural in New York? And, I'd never painted a mural before, but I was like, sure, I can. Why not? That sounds like something. So I got off the phone and I thought, oh my goodness, have I lost my mind? I need to touch the paint to be able to feel. And if you're painting a giant wall, how in the world are you going to do that? So I started working on techniques for that. And then I became the world's first blind muralist. I didn't know it at the time. I figured surely somebody had done this before, but and then since then I've done murals in Dallas, like 4-story murals and all over the place. But Boeing heard about that and they were like, and they had this Rock in Rio concert, and it's the biggest concert on earth. And they were like, we want to celebrate it. Can you paint one of our 737s to celebrate the concert, to promote it. You can paint whatever you want. And I was like, yes, please. That sounds amazing. So I started working on that. And the initial idea was to actually paint on the plane. But as it turns out, that's against the law. It's against the FAA. So because the paint will rip off, it's going really high and really fast, apparently, these jet planes. So instead, I painted a really large painting, and that's actually in the aircraft museum in Atlanta. And then we made skins of it that we wrapped around the plane. And it took like 19 people 2 weeks to actually wrap the entire plane with the painting. So thank goodness I didn't have to paint the entire thing by myself, because that would have been nutty. I'd still be there doing it.
Yeah. Well, and the cool thing about that project was John has synesthesia, and they were really intrigued by the fact that music creates colors in your mind, and so that really drove a lot of the inspiration for that piece too, I'd say.
Yeah, that was really cool, because I love music. I love all kinds of music. And since it's this huge concert, it has all these really famous artists, so I got to have all their music and use all their stuff and work with them, work with all of that. So that was a blast. It was a lot of music being played in the studio.
Well, you've also worked with a lot of celebrities. So tell us about some of the celebrities that you work with on what kind of projects, and what was that experience like, and how did you hook up and collaborate with them?
It's funny with the celebrities. When I do a lot of work with nonprofits and charities, and I have since college, and that's been a really important thing for me, because it's saved me, really. I mean, my being able, when I was in college, I was so angry and depressed that I thought I was very much alone. I thought I was isolated. I thought my blindness made me different than everyone else. And then because I was painting, and that started getting out about it, some different charities and nonprofits would ask me to come and paint with their people, and paint with their clients, and paint, soldiers with PTSD, and children that might have this one syndrome or this other thing. And I started meeting all these people, and everybody was so incredible, and we were all so much alike. Like, we got each other. We're like best friends. And so it was just, it really helped me to realize that, everybody in their life has something that's bigger than they are, whether it's a disability, there's something that's bigger than they are, and they need help dealing with it. So instead of my blindness making me different than everyone else, it actually made me more like everyone else. But through some of these working with charities and stuff, I've been able to work with different celebrities that are also supporting them. There's been celebrities that have just liked my artwork and said, hey, I want to meet you. And I'm like, well, dang it, I'd like to meet you too. That would be awesome. Like, there was a short documentary in California where Jeff Bridges does a lot of stuff. And he saw a documentary on me, and he was like, gosh, I sure would like to meet John. And I love Jeff Bridges. He's just amazing. And he plays music, and I have synesthesia where I hear color with music. So he invited me over to his house, and he was such a nice guy that the first, you're not supposed to pet a guide dog. That's rule number one. But the first thing he did was get on the floor and start rolling around with my guide dog. But I don't know. I figured he got a pass. He was so nice. But he played music, for me. Like, the idea, like, I started working on some paintings for some of the songs and different things. But he was really nice. There was I painted Lyle Lovett, and I got into that because I was painting his horse, and I was doing a thing where I was painting a lot of horses, and then one of the horses was Lyle Lovett's horse, and then ended up doing a portrait of him, and he's a super, super, super nice guy. Tony Hawk was really tall. I didn't realize how tall that guy was. I mean, because he's a skateboarder, so I just assumed that he must be short. That way he's closer to the board, but no. And then I worked with the different musicians and different things. But the people that I usually get to meet, are my favorite people. It's like next, like, we're about to do the show in the Envision Art Gallery, and we're going to be doing workshops. And this is the thing that gets me out of bed in the morning. I mean, it's just these workshops that we do, they are so much fun, and they are open to everybody. If you're a child who is blind, you can paint right next to someone who might be a professional artist, and that's what they do for their living, and they're not blind, and you can be right next to someone else that's never done art before in their life. Yet we're all sitting next to each other and we're all laughing. We're all having a great time. That's, it's these workshops and these shows is really where I meet the people that I most enjoy meeting. Sorry, I get so excited, Curtis. I just ramble on and on. I get excited about art. I get excited about disability awareness. So if I ramble on too much, just be sure to say, whoa, John.
No, you are good. And yes, you will actually be at the Envision Arts Gallery this weekend. So tell us about your art show. What are you going to be doing? And just kind of explain to people what you and Jackie do in your wonderful art show.
Oh my goodness. I am so excited. This show is different than any show that we've ever put together. And it's just, oh my goodness. It's a fully tactile art show. And which, what does that mean? Well, it's a show where everyone has full access to the art. Like if you walk into most museums, you walk into most galleries, it's almost like you're walking into a church or something where everybody's voices, they get hushed. Everybody's quiet. You're not allowed to touch the art. But this is a completely different experience. It's you go in there, you can touch every one of the paintings. There's verbal descriptions for the painting. So if you're a person without vision, there's actually a verbal description for every painting, which a lot of museums are doing now. But also you can put your hands on the painting and touch. You can feel, all the paint strokes. You can feel all the different areas of it. And it just makes for a much more visceral sort of experience. And to be honest, it makes a much more joyful experience. Like, people are laughing. People are having a great time. Parents can show their children and say, oh, look at this, look at that. What do you think about this? And of course, what's the first thing a kid wants to do when they see something? They want to touch it, and they want to feel it. And Jackie she's incredible. She's so humble. She has just got this amazing ability to put art together. Like I'll do the paintings, and then when it comes time to actually put a show together, which is an art form in itself, I don't know what to do. Like I don't know, because like you're telling a story with the show, and Jackie comes in and she just does this amazing job of being able to put the artwork together in a way that it's so much fun. I don't want to talk for you. But.
No, I mean, with this show, I was pretty excited to partner with the gallery and with John because, it was hitting a specific audience. And, I really imagined kind of this overscaping look of like John's work and what he does. And so that it's really geared towards the visually impaired and they can touch it and feel. So, some of these are prints that have been retouched so that when somebody feels it, it specifically lets them kind of visualize the image going in. So that, I was pretty excited to just kind of revisit some old popular paintings and some new ones and, just see what the reaction is and if people can actually like get these images and what the images, translate to them in their mind.
And it's kind of fun because it's very tactile. Like it's, if you think like Van Gogh, this really thick paint. So it's for sighted people. They have a blast with it because there's so much to see, but then you can also touch it. And if you're visually impaired, there's so much to feel. It's just, I don't know. It's a lot of fun. I can't wait. I honestly, I can't wait for it. This is, this is icing on the cake for me because I'm going to get to meet a bunch of amazing people.
And I honestly, I think the highlight is like the workshops because, I mean, obviously the show is going to be up for a month, but I think once, we have a round of like a workshop or two, people leave those workshops and you have a whole nother perspective on how to, create and consume art. So them going back through the gallery with like, this is John's process, or this is how I can imagine it differently, or, that's always fun to watch on people's faces.
Yeah. And the reception, it's actually from 5 to 9 on September 2nd. And if you come, then you can also meet my guide dog, Eagle, which generally you're not allowed to pet a guide dog. But the guide dog school, they're so brilliant. They always make sure that I get a dog that can be greeted. So we do a lot of disability awareness, whenever I'm doing art classes in schools and different things. We can also teach the children what to do and what not to do. And I can always tell the kids too, if you're really, really good, you can say hi to Eagle at the end of it. So all the classes, everybody's really, really good.
Yeah, she tends to be the star in the end.
Yeah, I was checking out one of your speeches where you were saying how people always say the guide dog is handsome and they just love the guide dog.
Isn't that the truth? Oh my goodness, she gets all the attention, but actually she's right underneath my foot right now. She's always there. So if you've ever had a guide dog, they're suddenly it's like you've gained 50 pounds because they're always right there by you.
Absolutely. So you are a three-time Presidential Service Award winner. Tell us about those awards, how that happened, how you got them, and what president or presidents did you get them from?
My goodness, that's sort of embarrassing. I don't know. I mean, like the workshops in painting are just something that I love to do, and I was working with a nonprofit, and right now because my brain's I can't think of the name of the nonprofit.
It was a long time ago.
Yeah,
too.
it's been a while, and they kept putting me up for the award, and they did it for 3 years, and 3 years in a row I got it, and then I was asking like, all right guys, that's I appreciate it, but come on. I don't know. I really appreciate like getting any award or anything. I mean, obviously, because it's so wonderful, and I think in a way it helps spreads disability awareness because I get to talk about it and I get to say, well, the only reason that I got this award was because of the incredible people that were there and that helped teach me the screen readers and JAWS and the O&M and Braille and all this stuff. That there's all these people that were there because whenever I first lost my eyesight, I like I said, I thought everything was over, and I did not believe in myself at all. I thought it was just done, but it was the people around me that believed in me when I didn't believe in myself. I thought I had to leave college. I was in college when I lost my eyesight, but it was the people that were like, no, John, you can do whatever you want. There's all this stuff out here. Like you can literally be whatever you want. And I did not believe them, but I didn't want to let them down. So I was like, okay, well, I'll keep going to school. And so I don't know. I mean, so the awards, they kind of make me feel a little silly because I don't feel like, I mean, I don't know. I'm doing something that I love, and and I'm making art. I paint every day for the same reason when I started, because I want to connect with people. It helps with depression, helps with anger, it helps with all these different things. So for me, it's just a very personal thing that I get to share with people, and I get to have these conversations. Like this weekend, I'm going to get to make new friends at the art show, and that means a lot to me. I mean, I can't even let you know. I mean, because when the eyesight went, I thought that was it. I thought I was isolated. Didn't think I'd be able to connect with anybody. And now look, this weekend I'm going to Kansas. Going to make a whole bunch of more friends. We're going to get to hang out with art. We're going to get to make some art. So sorry. I know you asked about the awards, but it embarrasses me.
Well, I think it was kind of, all of this was kind of born out of a search for accommodations. Like when John first started, the journey really began with like, how can I reteach myself how to paint? And then you gained success from that, and then I think it just kind of came like, how can we quickly show people John's process, and so then it turned into different feeling paints and raised line drawings and showing people that. And then it was like, let's look at art in a totally different way. And, how can we make it multisensory, involve all your senses? And then it's a much richer, art experience. And then, the workshops got bigger from that. I mean, I wouldn't say, we were the first doing it, but I think, we hadn't seen anybody else doing it. And I know that museums at the time were just coming around to the idea of inclusion and doing these really multisensory, like sort of experiences for people. So I think it all kind of like came together, like, perfectly. But I mean, again, I think it was just born out of like a search for accommodations to like make your world, fit you better.
Yeah, and Curtis, I just wanted to say really quick, because Jackie made me think, the workshop that we're doing on the morning of the 3rd is from 10 a.m. to noon. And it's the same workshops that we've done in museums all over the country. We've done this in the Metropolitan in New York. We worked with some of the biggest museums in the country, all in. It's the exact same workshop, but we're bringing it to Wichita, Kansas on the 2nd. And but there is limited space though, so you have to contact Envisions, but it is going to be so much fun. It's going to be a blast, and I don't. Is there a charge for it, Jackie?
They'd have to go to Envision's website. I'm not 100% sure how they set that up.
Yeah, so I don't know, but if it is, it's probably not much, but it's probably free. I don't even know, but I can't say that for sure because Envisions is setting all this, and they are so Sarah and Dell over there are so incredible. It's just this. I can't wait to be up there in Kansas. This is going to be so much fun.
Absolutely, and I've had Sarah and Dale on to talk about the Envision Art Gallery, so my audience is definitely familiar with it. And do you have any upcoming projects that you guys are working on that people need to know about?
Well, I'm going to be doing an inside mural at a children's hospital, so I'm putting that together, and that's going to be a lot of fun. It's going to be taking some technology and QR codes and combining that with a big old mural, and I've got some more shows that I'm going to be doing.
Yeah, we got another gallery show in Louisville here in Texas, and we're at the Arts and Jazz Festival in October. We got a lot of stuff actually going on. Like John painted this enormous turtle sculpture for Palm Coast, Florida, for their Parks and Rec kind of department, and it was this. Our neighbors think we're crazy because of like the projects we do in the backyard, but it was this huge sculptural turtle that they had shipped to us, and John painted it and then shipped it back. And finally in October, we're going to the unveiling in Florida, and that's pretty. I'm excited to do that because that was a fun project.
Yeah, and I'm going to be painting live at the Kennedy Center October 2nd, so I'll be going to Washington D.C. for that. And that'll be nice. Anything that kind of gets in the public view, anywhere that somebody can see somebody using a guide dog, they can see somebody with a disability doing things. I think just helps spread awareness. So I'm pretty excited about that.
Well, how can people check out your guys' work? Throw out your website and its social media links so that way we all can follow you and keep up with the wonderful things that you're doing.
Oh, thank you, Curtis. I'm not that smart, so I keep it simple. That way it's easy for me to remember, but it's just my last name. It's Bramblitt, BRAMBLITT, and it's Bramblitt at Gmail. And then on Facebook, it's at Bramblitt, and on Instagram, it's at Bramblitt. And if you guys, every Tuesday on Facebook, and we put it on YouTube as well, but it's mostly Facebook. We do a live stream where I'm painting in the studio and we just chat. And very often we give away art. We give away prints. Like we'll play some trivia, but it's just a very laid back sort of thing with no production value. It's just us hanging out.
Circus.
Yeah, just laughing but one nice thing too is that a lot of times other artists with disabilities will get on there and they'll share their stuff. But it really it's just about blowing off a little bit of steam. And if anybody has any questions, about, oh hey John, how do you do this, or how do you mix that medium, or how do you know this, or whatever. We have live chat going on so people can ask in real time, and that's just a blast. So Tuesdays it's 8 p.m. Central. We do this Tuesday coming up. We'll be doing it, and then the very next morning we're heading to Kansas.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Well, close us out with some final thoughts. Maybe something that I missed and failed to talk about that you would like to touch on, or any final thoughts that you guys have for the listeners?
Well, Curtis, I want to thank you, and I want to thank all the listeners who are listening, and just for being there and for listening to all of this, because that is so important. It really is. All of us working together, we can really spread the word that if you have a disability, it isn't the ending. It doesn't mean that you can't do things. It just means you need to find a different way. And I want to say thank you so much to Jackie here, because she is so much fun to work with. It really is. It just makes it a blast. But Curtis, for me, I just want to say thank you so much for letting me be on here.
Oh, thank you, Curtis, for having us. And the only thing I would say is to anybody that's struggling with their disability, or if it's like a new thing in their life, to just reach out to their support system, because just with the work that we do, we're exposed to quite a bit of people, and you can witness over time that support system, if it's organizations, if it's your family, if it's whatever, that is the world. So, get out, make yourself, go visit friends, talk to people, and then eventually things will return to normal. But yeah. And then, if you're in Wichita, Kansas, come check out the show and say hi to us.
That's what I was just going to say. September 2nd and 3rd. Also visit Bramblett.com. Check out the wonderful work that John and Jackie are doing. Please follow, rate, review, share this episode to as many people as possible. John and Jackie, once again, thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you so much,
Thank
Curtis.
you, Curtis.
Have a great day.
For more information on the Living the Dream podcast, visit www.djcurveball.com. Until next time, stay focused on living the dream.